Hi everyone, and welcome to this new video. As you saw from the introduction, I will be recreating a dress from the 1940 production of Pride and Prejudice. This was designed by Gilbert Adrian. You will see a lot of his trademarks in these costumes. The bias cut gingham, the bows made of thick rouleau with chenille tassels. This, I think, was the first version I ever saw of Pride and Prejudice, and I absolutely loved the costuming for it. Although a lot of people hate the costuming because it's designed in the 1830 period rather than the Regency Empire line, which Adrian did because the story goes that he had recently designed another film in the Regency period and didn't want to recreate it again. I personally think that the 1830 style works really well for this film, and it must be remembered that this film is based on a play rather than on the book. I was sent a few photos of the dress from the catalogue when it was sold by a good friend of mine who has a very large collection of Hollywood costume, and you can follow him on Instagram. His name is the Vintage Costume Collector. I hope you enjoy this video. Please remember to like and subscribe and join me on this journey. These are the fabrics that I shall be using for the project. The striped taffeta I found in New Zealand. It's the nearest fabric that I've ever come across nearest to the original, with the yellow and green stripes. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the middle brown stripe here that was on the dress. But as I said, this was the closest fabric that I have ever come across. For the trimming, I shall be using this green taffeta because it matches the darkest shade within the stripe. This will be used for the belt and the collar loops. This is the petticoat that I'm using to go under the dress. It is copied from a petticoat that was used under a dress in the Judy Garland film The Pirate. Another good friend of mine, who you can follow on Instagram, the Garland Archive, owns several dresses from The Pirate, and he very kindly measured and gave me all the dimensions of the petticoats that are built into the dresses for that film. They're a really good shape, and they can be used for anything from the 1830s, 1840s onto when the crinolines start being used. It's all built onto a yoke, so all the layers are sewn onto that, so it's one big skirt. I've put the skirt onto the stand over the petticoat, and I'll be levelling it from the top, so the hem is already sewn. Once I have it level, I will mark around the top and then take it off, and the skirt will be gathered onto a waistband. On this bodice, the shaping is put into the bodice backing fabric first, and then the striped over fabric is placed on top, and it's sewn through the shoulders and side seams as one piece. Now that the shoulder seams are sewn up, the shoulder yoke is placed over the top. This is cut with the stripes running horizontally, whereas on the bodice the stripes are cut vertically. This will line up with the stripe on the centre of the sleeve. The collar decoration is made from a strip of fabric which is sewn along the long edge and then cut into loops. Through these are threaded another piece of fabric to look like a ribbon, which will then have a bow applied at the front. Now that the collar and side seams are done, I'm going to pleat in the front fullness. (1830) sleeves are really big. They normally require about a metre of fabric and are normally cut on the bias. For this dress, they are cut on the straight, as the green stripe in the fabric lines up with the shoulder yoke. The sleeves have embroidered organza cuffs attached to the bottoms. So I've made a pattern using the photographs as the reference, and then I've traced this off onto the organza, which I will then embroider. The outside line will be done in a buttonhole stitch. The inside line will be a satin stitch along with the dots. This is a project that I've really enjoyed doing, and I would love to make more dresses from this film. Please give this film some love. The costumes always get a really bad stick because they're not Empire line, but nobody ever complains about the costumes in the Keira Knightley 2005 version, which in my opinion are truly dreadful, whereas this is really over the top, theatrical and stylish. Please join me again for another video soon, and please remember to like and subscribe to my channel.